Hello, good evening, everyone. Today, our aim is to start the revision of international economics. ठीक है जी? तो बेटा next 2 से 3 या 3 से 4 classes में हम पूरी की पूरी international economics को revise करेंगे. So please write down international economics. This is very important whether you are studying for UGC NET Economics paper. चाहे यूजीसी नेट इकोनॉमिक्स में अगर आप जाओ तो उसका यूनिट 5 इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स होता है. वेदर इट इज इंडियन इकोनॉमिक सर्विस, उसके रिविजन में भी बहुत हेल्प करेगा. वेदर इट इज इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सर्विस इकोनॉमिक्स ऑप्शनल, वेदर इट इज एम इकोनॉमिक्स एंट्रेंस एग्जाम, वेदर इट इज सीयूईटी इकोनॉमिक्स एंट्रेंस एग्जाम, किसी भी चीज की बात कर लो, ये कुछ आने वाली वीडियोस आर गोइंग टू बी वेरी यूजफुल फॉर यू, राइट? तो हम शुरू करेंगे with some important theories, beta. And the important theory that I'm going to start with today, that is called absolute cost advantage theory. ये revision classes हैं, complete detail में नहीं जाएंगे, उतना ही जाएंगे जितना exam में आएगा. So when we talk about absolute cost advantage theory, ये बोलता है that any country is going to go ahead and produce that good in which it has absolute advantage. Absolute advantage का क्या मतलब है? That you should be able to produce the commodity with less factors of production. अगर मेरी country A country B के comparison में कम resources में good को produce कर सकती है, then I have an absolute advantage in that good, right? So let us write down, beta, the pointers. The principle of absolute advantage refers to the ability of a party to produce a greater quantity of a good or product or service than competitor using same amount of resources. सेम रिसोर्सेज यूज करके, अगर मैं जितना लेबर, दो तरीके हो सकते हैं समझने के, देख लो एक बारी. सपोज मैंने आपको 10 यूनिट ऑफ लेबर दिया, कंट्री ए ने 200 यूनिट्स बनाए प्रोडक्ट के, और कंट्री बी ने उसी प्रोडक्ट के, फॉर द सेम प्रोडक्ट कंट्री बी इज प्रोड्यूसिंग 150 यूनिट्स, देन ए हैज एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज देन बी. और एक तरीका तो ये हो गया बोलने का. और if to produce same amount, जैसे 150 यूनिट्स ही बनाने हैं दोनों को, country A requires 7 units of labor and B requires 10 units of labor. So to produce the same amount, if you require less units of labor, या if using the same labor you can produce more, दोनों ही केस में we say that A has an absolute advantage as compared to B. So please write down absolute advantage is determined by simply comparing labor productivities. ठीक है. अच्छा, एक और चीज समझो जरा, दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. अ कंट्री may not have absolute advantage in any commodity. ऐसा पॉसिबल है कि किसी कंट्री का किसी भी कमोडिटी में एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज ना हो. So let's take an example. Suppose let's say this is country A. This is country B. To produce, let's say, apple, country A requires 2 units of labor. B requires 3 units of labor. To produce, say, guava, country A requires 5 units of labor, but B requires 10 units of labor. So if you see here, then A requires less labor than B, irrespective of the product. So A has absolute advantage in both, and B has absolute advantage in none. Okay? So this is possible that a country may have absolute advantage in none, and it is possible that a country may have absolute advantage in both. Okay. Write down some of the assumptions of the theory. First, where a trade is between two countries. बड़ी simple बात है. Second, only two commodities. Model. ये जो मॉडल है इसमें हम मैक्सिमम 2 ही कमोडिटीज लेते हैं. Right? Third, free trade exists between countries, and cost of production is labor. The only cost that we incur is on labor, right? So Smith argued a very good thing, beta. Smith ने एक बहुत interesting चीज बोली थी, and what was that? He said it is impossible for all nations to become rich simultaneously by following mercantilism. आपको कि mercantilism क्या है? तो बेटा absolute income hypothesis, sorry, absolute advantage theory, इससे पहले जो exist करती थी, the theory that existed before this, that is called mercantilism. Mercantilism is this theory जिसमें it was thought that you could become rich, a country could become rich by collection of gold. तो ये थ्योरी ये बोलती थी कि देखो जिस कंट्री के पास जितना ज्यादा गोल्ड होगा वो कंट्री उतनी ज्यादा रिच हो जाएगी. बट स्मिथ ने इस थ्योरी को कैंसिल. देखो जब भी कोई नया इकोनॉमिस्ट आता है तो पुराने इकोनॉमिस्ट के जो भी थ्योरीज होती हैं उसमें कुछ इश्यूज निकालते हैं. They find out some problems with the existing theories, and then they come up with some new theory. Just for example, Smith, when he brought this theory of absolute advantage, he brought some issues with mercantilism. When Ricardo, he came with the theory of comparative advantage, he brought some problems with the absolute advantage theory. तो जब भी कोई new economist आता है, जैसे when Keynes came, he had problem with classicals. Are you getting that? So when we talk about, same here, when we talk about Smith said that ये एक statement उसने दी थी. So please write down. Smith argued that it was impossible for all nations to become rich simultaneously by following mercantilism. Because export of one nation is automatically another nation's import. भाई simple है, ये country A है, this is country B. If B is selling to A, then A is giving money to B. In earlier time, this money was gold. So when A is giving gold to B, A is becoming poorer by that amount. उसका gold तो कम हो रहा है, and B's gold is increasing. So if B is becoming rich, A is automatically becoming poor by that amount. So you cannot have, everyone cannot be rich in mercantilism. This is what he said. Not every individual can be rich under mercantilism. Are you getting it? But Smith also said कि अगर mercantilism की जगह ये gold के basis पे richness decide करने की जगह, if we practice free trade, then all nations can gain simultaneously. और बेटा ये हमें पता है actually that थोड़ा आगे जाके हम पढ़ेंगे भी that in trade your consumption point is beyond your PPF. आप अपने points जो PPF पे नहीं भी हैं उसे भी consume कर सकते हो. You can consume points beyond your purchasing power parity. PPF, why am I writing? Purchasing power parity क्यों लिखा मैंने यहाँ पे? Beyond your consumption curve, right? Or PPC, production possibility curve. So जैसे ही international आता है, you start thinking about purchasing power parity. Okay, so beyond your PPC, you can ये देखो ये production points है मेरे. Suppose as a nation I can produce wheat and rice. तो ये different combinations wheat rice के जो मैं produce कर सकती हूँ. But the moment I start trading, I can consume a point beyond this PPC. That is why every nation will gain from trade, right? This is what trade means, right? So Smith also argued that trade should not be restricted by the government. स्मिथ ने बोला ट्रेड को रिस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं करना है गवर्नमेंट से. नो गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन शुड बी देयर. इट शुड बी naturally according to market forces. ठीक है, so it should be according to market force. You don't have to go ahead and you don't have to restrict trade. Government का intervention की जरूरत नहीं है. It should be free flowing according to market forces, and each country will generate efficiency because now labor will be better utilized. So efficiency in the countries will improve. Right? Labor more skilled. एक बार एक एग्जाम्पल देख लेते हैं. जैसे बेटा ये देखो, सपोज मैंने यहां पर बोला कि कंट्री ए को एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज है, तो स्मिथ ने बोला कि कंट्री ए जो कम लेबर लेती है प्रोड्यूस करने में, वो कंट्री बी को एप्पल भेजेगी. कंट्री ए विल सेंड एप्पल्स टू कंट्री बी because country A has more specialization in producing apple, and because of this country B can leave out producing apple. It will have some spare labor and it can use this labor for other uses जहां पे वो ज्यादा specialize कर पाए labor. So country B will produce some other good And country A will send apple to country B because country A can produce apple using less labor, right? So this way there will be increased efficiency in the economies, right? So his theory talked about how labor efficiency can be increased because of specialization. क्योंकि आप एक ही चीज प्रोड्यूस करवा रहे हो लेबर से एंड आप स्पेशलाइजेशन लेके आ रहे हो, सो बिकॉज ऑफ स्पेशलाइजेशन हाउ कैन यू improve, that is what it talked about, right? एक लास्ट लाइन सेंटेंस लिख लेते प्लीज. His theory stated that a nation's wealth should not be judged by how much gold, ऊपर भी हमने लिखा मर्केंटलिज्म के बारे में, or silver, but by standard of living of people. So by the living standards of people. So he said that don't judge by the wealth of gold, of silver, but what is the living standard of people. So this is the first theory beta that we did today. This theory is called the theory of absolute cost advantage or absolute advantage. Tomorrow we will see how Ricardo came into picture and he gave an improvement over absolute advantage and he brought in comparative advantage. Okay.